Mr. President, in my address to the General Assembly last year, I had highlighted the tremendous damage that illicit financial flows from developing countries to rich countries and to offshore tax havens cause. This leads to the impoverishment of the developing nations. Money that could be used towards human development is siphoned off by corrupt elites. The loss of foreign exchange causes currency depreciation. That in turn leads to inflation and poverty. The quest for getting back these stolen resources is nearly impossible, given the cumbersome procedures. Moreover, the powerful money launderers have access to the best lawyers. And sadly, because they are the beneficiaries, there is a lack of political will in the rich countries to curb this criminal activity. Mr. President, if this phenomena is unaddressed, it will continue to accentuate the inequality between the rich and the poor nations, and eventually will spark off a bigger global crisis, a far bigger global crisis than the present migration issue poses. The rich states cannot hold forth on human rights and justice when they provide sanctuary to money launderers, to their looted wealth. There are robust anti-money laundering and anti-terror financing regimes. I call upon this Assembly to take the lead in efforts to build a global framework to stem the illicit financial flows and ensure speedy repatriation of stolen wealth. It is important to realize that the aid that flows from rich countries to the developing world is minuscule compared to the massive outflows by our corrupt elites. Mr. President, this year, I must again reiterate the threat posed to mankind due to climate change. Unprecedented fires in Australia, Siberia, California, Brazil. Unprecedented floodings in various parts of the world. Record temperatures, even in the Arctic Circle. This should make all of us worried for our future generations. Commitments made through the Paris agreements must be fulfilled. In particular, the commitment to mobilize $100 billion annually as climate finance. Pakistan's contribution to carbon emissions is minimal, but it is one of those countries most affected by climate change. Yet, we have decided to take the lead as we consider addressing climate change a universal responsibility. We have launched an extremely ambitious program to plant 10 billion trees in the next 3 years as a contribution to mitigating the effects of climate change. Mr. President, the pandemic was an opportunity to bring humanity together. Unfortunately, it has instead fanned nationalism, increased global tensions, and given rise to racial and religious hatred and violence against vulnerable minorities in several places. These trends have also accentuated Islamophobia. Muslims continue to be targeted with impunity in many countries. Our shrines are being destroyed. Our Prophet Muhammad ﷺ insulted. The Holy Quran burnt. And all this in the name of freedom of speech. Incidents in Europe, including republication of blasphemous sketches by Charlie Hebdo, are recent examples. We stress that willful provocations and incitement to hate and violence must be universally outlawed. This Assembly should declare an international day to combat Islamophobia and build a coalition to fight the scourge that splits humanity. Mr. President, the one country in the world today where I'm sad to say the state sponsors Islamophobia, and that is India. The reason behind this is the RSS ideology that unfortunately rules India today. This extremist ideology was founded in the 1920s. The RSS founding fathers were inspired by the Nazis, and they adopted their concepts of racial purity and supremacy. While the Nazis' hate was directed at the Jews, the RSS directs it towards the Muslims and to a lesser extent, the Christians. They believe that India is exclusively for Hindus and others are not equal citizens. The secularism of Gandhi and Nehru has been replaced by the dream of creating a Hindu Rashtra by subjugating, even cleansing India's 200 million Muslims and other minorities. In 1992, the RSS destroyed the Babri Masjid. In 2002, some 2,000 Muslims were slaughtered in Gujarat, and this was under the watch of Chief Minister Modi. In 2007, over 50 Muslims were burnt alive by RSS arsonists aboard the Samjhauta Express train. In Assam, around 2 million Muslims face the prospects of being arbitrarily stripped of their nationality through the adoption of discriminatory laws. There are reports of large concentration camps being filled by Muslim Indian citizens. Muslims were falsely blamed, vilified, and victimized for spreading the coronavirus. They were denied medical attention on many occasions. Their businesses were boycotted. Cow vigilantes attack and kill Muslims with impunity. Last February, Muslims faced targeted killings with police complicity in New Delhi. Mass registrations in the past have often been a precursor to genocide. For example, the Nuremberg laws in Germany in 1935, and then in 1982 in Myanmar. The Hindutva ideology is set to marginalize almost 300 million human beings, Muslims, Christians, and Sikhs. This is unprecedented in history, and this does not augur well for the future of India. As we all know that marginalization of human beings leads to their radicalization.